One of the things that we notice in 18th century cookbooks is that people are traveling to far off places, they're experiencing new flavors, and they want to bring that home so that the folks around them can try it. Now, we don't always know that it's an actual recreation of what they're tasting or if they're modifying it for ingredients that they can get at home and for their taste buds, say in London. Curry is a great example of this. We see it changing over time. It starts to enter somewhere in the mid 1700s. We see recipes for this in London, and then we watch it change. 1800, it is kind of a completely different thing, and we want to take a study of that today. That's why we have with us Justine. She's here from the Early American YouTube channel, traveled all the way from Missouri. How you doing?
I'm doing great because we're gonna make one of my favorite foods, whether it's historically speaking or in modern times. I love chicken curry.
I do too. So there are two questions that I have that I hope we can maybe try to answer today. And one of those is, are we truly tasting Indian curry flavors in this? Or are we tasting a very like London-fied version of what curry should be? The other one is, when people are grabbing these flavors and they're bringing them over from a different place, is that a commodities-based kind of thinking that they have where maybe this will be the next big thing and they can benefit financially from that? Do you have any thoughts there?
Today we're gonna make two different curry recipes separated by a few decades, and really it's up to you guys, the audience, to decide, is this authentic Indian curry? But as far as people in London at the time thought, it was. And everything exotic, what they thought was exotic, imported from India at the time, was highly fashionable, especially in the early 1800s. Indian textiles, Indian food, and spices, like we have turmeric here, which outside of curry they would have never cooked with. And it was very fashionable, especially for the upper class. By the time we get to the early 1800s, they already had curry houses in London where those of the upper class would gather in their top hats and all, and experience expensive food.
It's funny because in 1750, you would never use turmeric, right?
No.
By the time you get into the 1840s, I was doing some research on some icings for cakes, and they had turmeric colored icing, like it was using that spice. Which is crazy to think about.
And when you're in the mid 1700s, it was a very expensive spice. By the time we get to the early 1800s, the trade routes were a little bit more established and the price was starting to go down a bit more by the decade until we get to what you were talking about, the mid 1800s, and then you could just use it for food coloring if you wanted it.
We've been talking a little while about getting together and teaming up on a video. When we did that, we wanted to do a contest. It was like the Michael Dragoo video that I did with him, and John judged, and we were gonna do this grand thing. And part of that was gonna be, we're gonna cook our favorite foods that we've cooked on our respective channels. Now we got rained out, so we weren't able to do that, but we still wanted to look at this curry because it's really interesting. And I just kind of want to dig into it and see what are the true differences here, okay? So mine's from 1765. And it's very basic. We move into yours. You've seen mine, so let's compare them real quick and see what's going on here.
My curry today is from 1807. Now, my book was also originally published in London, but then the following year it was published in the United States.
Okay.
So the big difference I noticed between yours and mine is the star, which is the spices.
Right.
I mean, the star of any curry is the spices. That is what curry is. Yours just has turmeric and ginger.
Yeah, it's very basic.
Salt and pepper. That would not really classify as a good curry by modern standards. Whereas mine, once we get to 1807, it says to use curry powder, which is very up to interpretation. But we do know that curry powder in this time period, they did have cumin, they had coriander, they had cinnamon, red pepper, cayenne, they had nutmeg, they had mace, they had clove, and we're finally starting to embrace garlic.
Right. Yeah, and so pretty much anything that you can throw at it. Now, what's interesting about mine being 40 years earlier, they're still having you take the turmeric, the ginger, the salt and pepper, and make a powder out of them before you would apply it.
Yes.
So it's still like you're making a curry powder. It's just very different and it's very basic.
Yeah, in the early 1800s, you will still find some receipt books that call for how to make the curry powder, but then others don't mention it at all. And I'm pretty sure you could have bought just store-bought curry powder if you could have afforded it, because remember, this was an upper-class dish still in the early 1800s. So yours doesn't have garlic. Mine finally calls for the addition of garlic.
Right.
Now, earlier than that, garlic was it was considered a medicine, medicinal. But once we get into the 1800s, people started realizing that, yes, it's good medicinally, but also it tastes nice.
Well, it's interesting because one of the only other places that we see garlic in our time period is in Spanish cooking, which is also, exotic food.
Let me introduce you to my receipt today. It's from A New System of Domestic Cookery. This is the 1807 edition. This book was originally published in London, but the following year it was published in the United States. The receipt is called Chicken Curry. Cut up the chickens before they are dressed and fry them in butter with sliced onions till of a fine color. Or if you use those that have been dressed, do not fry them. Lay the joints, cut in 2 or 3 pieces each, into a stew pan with veal or mutton gravy, a clove or 2 of garlic, 4 large spoonfuls of cream, and some cayenne. Rub smooth 1 or 2 spoonfuls of curry powder with a little flour and a bit of butter, and add 20 minutes before you serve, stewing it on till ready. A little juice of lemon should be squeezed in when serving. Now, of course, with curry, you have to serve it with rice. And I'm feeling generous today, so I'm gonna make enough rice for not only my own curry, but I'm gonna share it with Ryan. I have here Carolina Gold rice, which is the period correct variety for early 1800s cooking. And so I'm gonna get that started before the curry. Now, my personal recipe for rice, it's very, very simple. But of course, you have to start with washed rice. You have to get the dust and the pollutants out of it. So I have triple washed rice here ready to go. And I do equal quantities of rice with water, or maybe slightly more water. That's just the way my mom taught me. And then you can add a dollop of butter into it. Once it's boiling, you reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 40 to 50 minutes. While the rice is cooking, we're gonna get started on our chicken curry. The first step is we have to fry the chicken in butter with sliced onion. This won't take long. Put it on medium-high heat and it'll probably take no more than 5 to 7 minutes. You wanna cook the onions until they are translucent and soft and the chicken has a little bit of color, but you don't have to cook the chicken all the way through, because after that we are going to add our cream, some brown gravy, some garlic, and of course our spices, and we are going to continue cooking that for about another 20 to 30 minutes. You know that you're getting closer to the dish being done because as the moisture is evaporating, the beautiful rich colors of the curry and the spices will start to pop out. It'll become more of a golden color. The butter will start rising to the top, and once it is done, you want to serve it over that beautiful bed of rice.
My recipe comes from Hannah Glass's Art of Cookery in 1765, and it uses a lot fewer spices than Justine's, but we're gonna see if it packs just as much of a punch. To make curry the Indian way, take 2 small chickens, skin them and cut them as for a fricassee. Wash them clean and stew them in about a quart of water for about 5 minutes. Then strain off the liquor and put the chicken in a clean dish. Take 3 large onions, chop them small, and fry them in about 2 ounces of butter. Then take 1/4 ounce of turmeric, a large spoonful of ginger, and beaten pepper together, and a little salt to your palate. Strew all these ingredients over the chicken whilst it is frying, then pour in the liquor. Let it stew about a half hour. Then put in 1/4 pint of cream and the juice of 2 lemons and serve it up. The ginger, pepper, and turmeric must be beat very fine. Well, first of all, thank you to the ever graceful Justine for making rice for me so I don't have to make rice to put this over. Now, this is actually a really simple recipe. First, we're gonna clean this chicken up, get the fat off of it, anything that looks like it's gonna be tough to eat. We're gonna cut it up into smaller pieces, and then we're gonna get that in a quart of water on the fire. Once we get the chicken in this water, it's gonna simmer for 5 minutes. It's a really important step because it's gonna make the broth that's gonna make the gravy later. So we're gonna simmer that for 5 minutes, take it off the stove and get the chicken out of the water, just let the water sit. And then we're gonna get onions chopped up in butter on the fire and get them simmering. Now those onions are gonna cook down, and as they cook down, we're gonna add the chicken back in until we brown it all up together. This is very important because we want all these flavors to mix together. At that point, we're gonna make our rub. Essentially is what we're doing. We're kind of making a curry powder. We're gonna add our pepper, salt, turmeric, and ginger. And it says salt to taste. Everything else, it gives a little bit of an idea of what you want, but we're gonna make this potent spice blend. We're gonna put it in there with the onions and the chicken and the butter and just kind of get it all working together. At that point, we can add our liquor back to it, that chicken broth that we made that's so special. It's gonna simmer for about a half an hour. Then we're gonna add our cream, our lemon juice, get it all incorporated, and it goes over some rice to the table. It's gonna be stupendous, and I think it's gonna be the best curry of the day. I'm really confident about this. Both of these curries look fantastic. They smell great. I don't know which one's gonna be better. I don't really know what to anticipate. What do you think?
I really don't know. I will say they look different already.
Yeah, this is like yellow.
Yeah, there's a lot of turmeric in yours,
Right.
so it's made it very yellow.
And yours is spicy, which this doesn't really seem like it'll have anything spicy.
Yeah, mine has cayenne pepper in it.
Okay. What do you want to try first?
We'll try yours.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we're gonna do a taste test.
Let's see what's going on here. I want to make sure I get rice in there that you so generously made for me. That's good. It's lemony.
I really taste the ginger.
Yeah. But not like, I don't feel like it's really hot. It's just there. I mean, that flavor's really there.
The lemon is good. Compared to a modern curry that I'm used to, this is very gingery. Whereas in modern curries, ginger is just one note mixed with 10 other notes.
Yeah.
But this one is really loud.
I thought it was going to be way too much lemon, but it's not. It surprises me. And as far as the yellow ginger goes, it's kind of on par with, I mean, it's not like the best curry I've ever had, but it's not the worst by any means either.
No, it's not. For being as old as it is, I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's really good.
So this is the chicken curry from 1807, a lot more modern than yours.
Right, there's cayenne pepper. There are lots more spices.
A lot more spices, and there's garlic.
That's really good. It doesn't have like that classic curry taste that I expect. It's a lot spicier, which I really like.
This packs a punch compared to this.
Yeah.
Because there's so much ginger in here.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, you eat with your eyes first. This one is so screaming yellow that you know something's gonna happen when you eat it. This one, it kind of creeps up on you actually because the spice isn't there right away, but it comes, and it's really good.
And I can imagine people from hundreds of years ago looking at this and just the bold color of it. I have never seen anything like that before. What is it?
And they thought, I bet you in 100 years, they're gonna use that color for icing on cakes.
No, they didn't think that. Neither did I. Now, normally my husband would be incredibly biased when it comes to choosing which curry he likes more, so that's why we have blindfolded him today. He's gonna do a blind taste test and tell us not only which one does he like more, but which one does he think is the newer and the older recipe. Okay, Ron, you ready?
Yes.
You got two in front of you. You know what to do.
All right, so I'm going to do the right-handed one first.
Okay.
That's really good. Whoa. It's hot at the end. Okay, second one.
That's a big bite, so be careful.
That one's more mellow, but more complex. I think the more complex one is older because the old receipts have lots of weird ingredients all thrown into things. The other one, it packed a punch. I think that's the newer one.
Now, which one do you like more?
I think I like the older one, the one that has all the complex ingredients in it.
Your second spoonful.
The second spoonful.
Okay.
Which one was which?
Well, you had it backwards. The first one was actually the older one, and then the second one was the newer one that I made.
Right. But you chose right in that you liked your wife's the best. So, congratulations.
Now this was good though, but there's a delayed effect.
Yeah. Yeah, it creeps up on you.
But the lemon is really good.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you guys for coming all this way from Missouri. If you want to check out the Early American YouTube channel or Frontier Patriot, they run both of those. They do fantastic work. Thank you so much for watching.